Good evening, all of you.
Yes, Ita, you can start.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Siddharth Sinkar, Founder Director of Saraswat Chamber, welcome you all today for seminar on the topic Connecting India with Germany, Opportunities for Businesses. For this, we have a diplomat based in Germany on our platform. This is for the first time when a Consulate General of India based in a foreign country has come on our platform, and we are very fortunate to have Dr. Amit Telang today with us. Welcome, Dr. Amit Telang. But before I formally introduce Dr. Telang, I would like to say few words about our chamber. We are known as Saraswat Chamber. We are registered in India as Section 8 company, that is non-profit organization. Our company's name is Global Chamber for Saraswat Entrepreneurs. The main objective behind our chamber is to create a platform for all Saraswat community entrepreneurs to connect with each other and encourage trade amongst community entrepreneurs. Senior entrepreneurs from our community can mentor young members and encourage others to take up entrepreneurships. We have members today from across the globe. I urge all community members who are present today to enroll for the membership of our chamber and stay connected with community entrepreneurs. Since last 1 year, we have been conducting all our events online, and we have conducted more than 20 events on online mode on topics of various business interest. All our events have been successful and we have been growing strength by strength. Coming back to the today's event, in the present scenario where majority of the businesses are down due to pandemic and there is a huge uncertainty about the next wave of pandemic, everyone is clueless on what to do further. All entrepreneurs are looking for new opportunities, including diversification or entering new market. Some entrepreneurs are actively looking for collaborations with foreign entrepreneurs. In this regard, Saraswat Chamber has arranged a seminar on business opportunities in Germany. Many of us are aware that German entrepreneurs, especially MSMEs, which are known as Mittlestand in Germany, have been looking for the tie-ups with Indian entrepreneurs. Many German giants have their manufacturing setups in India. To understand on how one needs to approach German entrepreneurs, how to look for opportunities, and what are the do's and don'ts of doing business in Germany, we have Dr. Amit Telang today. We also have two experts from the industries, Mr. Manoj Barve and Mr. Ajit Ranade, who have worked with various German entrepreneurs, and they will also share their views and their opportunities. Okay, so now I will start with formal introduction of Dr. Amit Telang. Dr. Amit Telang took over as the Consulate General of India in Frankfurt on 30th July 2020. He graduated and earned his master's degree from Government Medical College Nagpur and briefly served as medical officer and as a lecturer before joining government service in 2004. First in Indian Revenue Service and later in Indian Foreign Service in 2005. He has previously served as the head of political wing in Embassy of India, Berlin, and subsequently as head of economic and commercial wing in Embassy of India, Moscow. At the Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi, he has served in External Publicity Division, Administrative Division, and East Asia Division. His interests include classical music and reading, especially philosophy and world history. He speaks Marathi, English, and German. He is married and has one daughter. With this brief introduction, now I request Dr. Amit Telang to address our members. Welcome, Dr. Amit Telang. You are on mute, sir.
Sorry. So first of all, thank you very much, Mr. Sinka, for this very gracious introduction. And it's in fact my pleasure and privilege that I've got this opportunity to interact with all the members of Saraswat Chamber. So thank you very much once again for this initiative. And it was delightful to know about your chamber and the activities that you have been undertaking. First of all, of course, you in your introductory words, you have actually clarified and also explained what is the need of this kind of an interaction, and moreover, the priorities in terms of the situation that we are facing right now because of the pandemic situation. So in terms of the opportunities for business, of course, Germany has always figured in one of our major trading partners. In fact, most of the years it has appeared in the first 10 major partners of India. But it is interesting that for the last year, it improved its ranking and has become the fourth biggest trading partner in terms of the bilateral trade between India and Germany. A little bit of figures, if I refer to, we had a trade of 19.5 billion euros in 2019 and 20, and we have registered a marginal increase in the trade, even if in absolute terms the trade has been contracting. There are certain sectors like pharmaceuticals and information technology which are considered strengths of India and Indian exporters. In fact, we have been doing better than the previous years. Now, with this context, I would begin, and I probably don't need to introduce Germany to Indians and especially Maharashtrians, because I think we have a very long history of cooperation between our two countries in terms of trade, in terms of education, in terms of culture, and most importantly, I would say, in terms of the sheer attraction and affinity that we share when it comes to business, innovation, and engineering. In terms, as you have already mentioned, there are major German giants, industrial giants, who already have presence in India, be it in the automobile sector or be it in engineering sector. Many German companies, say Volkswagen, Bosch, and Mercedes, of course, many other names are quite familiar. Same is the case also in pharmaceutical and other sectors as well. But something which gives me more pride is the fact that many of the Indian companies now are also very well known in Germany. And some of the major IT giants, say, for example, Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, and many other, I would say, medium-sized, not very well known, but they are doing excellent business in Germany. And the cooperation in information technology is also increasing by leaps and bounds. In fact, in this particular year, in fact, in 2020 and beginning of 2021, some of our IT companies have signed major deals with German companies, be it the Deutsche Bank, the Deutsche Telekom, and many others. And the business and expansion of activities of IT companies, Indian IT companies in Germany, is increasing. So this, I'm talking about the big companies. Probably they don't need that much of support and information from the consulate in general. But I would come to the most important sector, which you also referred to in your introductory words, and that is about the small and medium-sized enterprises. Many of you probably know, but for those who don't know that much, in terms of when we talk about Germany, we talk about business in Germany, industry in Germany. Most of us probably know about these big companies, say Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Volkswagen. But the strength of Germany is not only because of these industrial giants, but also because of what we call the Mittlestand or family-owned businesses. And it would be interesting for you to know that many of these businesses are family-owned and they are exclusively run by families, but they are extremely professionally run and they contribute, I would say, a very significant percentage to the overall German economy. And these are the players, and this is the industry which is actually quite keen to engage with their counterparts in India. A small word of caution or an advice is that even if we call them small and medium-sized enterprises or Mittelstand in Germany, their turnover could be quite huge and could quite easily be equal to some of our major companies in India. But at the same time, what makes the cooperation with such companies interesting is that basically because of the family-owned structure, the kind of flexibility that they enjoy is quite high. And these are the companies which, in fact, are keenly interested in reaching out to the counterparts in India. To mention to you, it's not something new of a phenomenon, because we do have players, say, for example, the Kalyanis, we have Kirloskars, they already have had cooperation, and there's ongoing cooperation even now. And there are some not very well known, but yet quite, I would say, with an exemplary performance in terms of some of our Indian companies who have more recently, say in few years back, 3 to 5 years back, have established their operations in Germany and are doing exceedingly better. At the same time, many of these small companies from Germany, the Mittlestand companies, be it, say, for manufacturing of small agricultural equipment, be it for engineering goods, be it for pharma products, in logistics, they have already made inroads and are trying to engage very closely with Indian companies. So what I feel is that in terms of the interest, there is a lot of interest both on the Indian side and both even on the German side. Then what is stopping us from what we are trying to do? So to answer that question, I would say that sometimes I feel there is a hesitation in terms of, firstly, the language. That it's a country with a different language. Probably had it been the United States, the United Kingdom, or any other country which is where English is the common language, it's probably much more, the comfort level for our business persons is quite high, and therefore they think that probably it's better to consider the other countries rather than keeping Germany as the top priority. But things are changing, and I would say that language will not become an hindrance or any hurdle when it comes to engaging with German companies. Not only are the German companies themselves having expertise in terms of professional people to engage with non-German speaking people, and at the same time, later today, of course, two of our colleagues are going to speak about, the nitty-gritties and in terms of the step-by-step approach to how to open a business in Germany, or how to explore the possibility of businesses. So we have my colleagues, Mr. Ajit Ranade and Mr. Manoj Barve, who have a very long experience of working with German companies here to explain on that part. So I will not touch I'll not basically dwell upon that particular aspect. But what I would like to assure you that when it comes to the image of Germany or the Germans in terms of the difficulty of the language or the different kind of culture or different kind of business approach, I would say that they are probably the closest in terms of our approach. And sorry to sound a bit parochial, but the fact is, for Maharashtrians, I think they will find it that the business culture, tradition, and everything, the approach to business is quite similar. And therefore, I would definitely like that more and more small and medium-sized and family-owned businesses from India definitely should look at the opportunity of the German businesses. And at the same time, if we are also making very conscious attempt that we sort of facilitate this kind of B2B exchanges, so that more and more German companies who are looking for partners in India also get this opportunity through different platforms. And in that context, definitely, I think this particular webinar, which has been organized by the Saraswat Chamber, I think is very useful, because this is how basically we create those opportunities for people to know about each other. I'll also make a small mention about the investment part. So when it comes to investment, again, both ways investment is happening. From the German side, the investment used to be quite significant earlier. But in the more recent years, I think investment from India also has taken over. And in fact, now more and more Indian companies are also investing in Germany. And in terms of job creations, I think India is contributing equally for job creation in Germany as Germany has been contributing to job creations in India. So I think it's a very, I would say, encouraging kind of scenario and a win-win kind of scenario which is emerging in the last couple of years. Now, linked with this particular aspect, I would say, is something which is what you call promotion of entrepreneurships and startups. So now this area again becomes very, very important for us. And me as I as a Consul General, I find that so far as the young entrepreneurs are concerned, I find a very enthusiastic, very creative, very intelligent and innovative youngsters coming from India for studying in Germany. And these are the people who are getting exposed to a lot of new technology, a lot of new innovative ideas. And what they are looking for, in fact, is a startup kind of capital or good opportunities to start their own businesses. And I think this basically provides a very, very encouraging scenario. And recently, the consulate organized a startup challenge for the young Indian students. Of course, we didn't restrict it to Indian students, and there were some foreign students as well who participated in that. And they came up with some of the fascinating models, new business models and startup initiatives, which has now been shared with Government of India as well as Government of Germany. And I hope that in the coming months, probably from ideas, it will probably graduate into an actual business model. So our emphasis, of course, is also on the young entrepreneurs who are keen to explore possibilities of cooperation in Germany. And on the other hand, there are German, as I said, the new entrepreneurs, even in the German Mittlestand, and some of the youngsters who are looking at innovative ideas. And for them, India is a huge market. India is a huge opportunity. And looking for this kind of expansion of their innovative ideas, I think probably will work much better when there is an Indian partner also in place. So this also provides, I think, a great opportunity for Indo-German cooperation, for business cooperation. Now, last but not the least, I would also like to mention that when it comes to the regulatory framework, legal structure, sometimes people feel that, it's quite difficult. But it's just, I would say, the fear of the unknown. Just because you haven't got into it, you feel that probably it's very difficult because the legal structure is different. Setting up of a company could be difficult. What kind of regulations, what kind of taxation structure is there? So all these questions also, I would like to assure you, there are different agencies, both on the government side in India and in Germany, who assist, facilitate, and do the hand-holding for business persons who are wanting to engage with each other. And at the same time, there are different private initiatives and people from the Indian community here, they are taking a lead, and they are also helping in terms of, putting the two interested people together for an exchange of information, exchange of ideas. And that itself is also helping the process of building up business links. Last but not the least, I would say that because of the pandemic situation, the business has gone down, and everywhere else people are talking about slowdown. Everywhere people are concerned about how the economy is going to recover, what kind of incentives are being provided. So a lot of incentives, of course, are being provided on the German side, and even on the Indian side, incentives are being provided. But at the same time, we must understand that this is a very nascent situation. Still, we haven't really we are not really completely out of the COVID pandemic. The situation is still critical, and we need to be very cautious. But I would like to say that we already see the green some kind of developments, especially I would say in the pharma sector, in the IT sector, and now lately also in the machinery sector, which is providing a lot of hope and a lot of, I would say, scope for further cooperation. And I would definitely like to say that this is a very, very critical time. This is the time when basically both the countries, business persons from both sides are looking at opportunities. And I would say this is the best time for us to avail of these opportunities and also integrate with each other in order to sort of develop all those ideas which otherwise probably would have been difficult to implement. Just a few examples. Say, for example, in the pharma sector, we realized that, lately now amphotericin B was one of the medicines which was required in India. It's still required in India. And we found that there is a Swiss company, but with a significant base in Germany, has the technology, has the expertise to produce the liposomal type of medicine, which is actually required right now for the treatment of as they call it, the black fungus disease in India. Now, this is just an example because I think it is very, I would say it's a very practical solution, because this kind of a crisis, this kind of, I would say, an adversity also allows us to think how two companies, because there is a big demand in India, and of course there could be some companies in Germany, in Europe, who have the requisite technology, how they can come together and collaborate, not only to provide a manufacturing and technology transfer in India, but also India can become like a focus for the further expansion to say other countries in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Africa, and many countries, I would say, Oceania and other. So this particular aspect, I think, is very important, that rather than looking at the COVID pandemic only as a crisis, we should also see how this crisis could also be converted into an opportunity. And definitely for sectors like machinery, pharmaceuticals, IT, I would say there is definitely a lot of scope and a lot of opportunity. Certain other sectors, say tourism, airlines, of course, are very badly affected, and recovery may take a little longer. But again, I'm sure as soon as we have a sort of some respite in terms of the vaccination and other things, regular business exchanges will begin again. And definitely by next year, we can look at the interactions between the business persons, the trade fairs, regular business meetings, and travel. All of them would be possible. And I think that probably would also help us create a new phase when it comes to business cooperation between India and Germany. With these words, I would like to end my remarks. Thank you for your patience. And most importantly, thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my views with all of you. If I may say so, I would also look forward to meeting some of you in person if you happen to be in Germany for your business purposes or for travel. And do let us know in the Consulate General of India in Frankfurt. If you are visiting this site, if you need any support and assistance, it will be our pleasure to help you and to be of any assistance. Thank you very much once again for giving me this opportunity. Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Amit Telang. Thank you very much. First of all, you have a very pleasant personality. so everyone, I know that I'm sure that everyone could connect to to you immediately. And now before we'll come to you again, but before, we have two small presentations. So we have today with me Mr. Manoj Barve. As I mentioned, he's a head of BVMW representative office in India. He supports cooperation between Indian and German SMEs at various levels, like technical, commercial collaborations, joint ventures, and business development. Mr. Barve comes with over 25 years of global experience with a career footprints across several countries. He previously served as a director finance and a member of board at Alpha Level India, and has held similar positions in companies like ThyssenKrupp India, Hydro Aluminium Deutschland in Malaysia, Eaton CEAG, ITT Richer Chemi Technique, PwC in Germany, and J. McDermott in Dubai. A chartered accountant, management accountant, and certified public accountant by profession, Mr. Barve has invaluable experience in mergers and acquisitions, international business strategy, business process optimization, restructuring, risk management, and cross-cultural aspects of global business. So now we have a presentation from Mr. Barve, and it will be immensely useful to all our participants. Welcome Mr. Barve to our platform.
Thank you, Mr. Sinkar. I will start sharing the presentation. Can you see it? Hello? Hello? Mr. Sinkar, can you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see.
Yeah,
So
perfect.
please continue.
I'll go through it quickly, and maybe we can have a follow-up session at some other point of time if anybody is interested in going into details of this. First of all, I would really love to thank Dr. Amit Telang. I mean, he has changed the scenario between India and Germany on cooperation. He has taken it to a different level. He's there since not so long in Frankfurt, but one can see, and you could also see his pleasant personality as well as his interest, in spite of being a diplomat, his interest for business activities. So thank you, Dr. Telang, for that. I will quickly go through, I've divided it for 5 minutes to inform you about the German Mittelstand or German SMEs, what it means, and maybe 4 or 5 minutes for business opportunities with the Mittelstand. Dr. Telang also mentioned that we know mainly the large German companies like Bosch, Siemens, automotive OEMs, and chemical companies, and so on. But the Mittelstand, I mean, this term is coming into English language more and more increasingly. So Mittelstand is basically SMEs. SMEs are defined as sales of up to 50 million and employees of up to 500. But this term is used pretty loosely because all companies which are in typical characteristics of being in B2B activities, highly focused, in family business and having long-term approach are considered to be Mittelstand. I mean, they proudly say that they are the German Mittelstand. We can quickly have a look at, I mean, they manufacture about 36% of invoicing happens through the Mittelstand, 58% value addition. So you know how the engineering depth is much higher, and most of the large companies do assemble the things. 60% of the employees in Germany are with the Mittelstand. 83% of their apprentices, I mean, in Germany, it's extremely important about skills development, vocational training. Their dual education is being benchmarked the world over. So 4 out of 5 trainees in Germany are trained in the Mittelstand, and they become, that is extremely important for competitive age and for maintaining Germany ahead of other countries in manufacturing. Apart from that, 88% companies are owner run and not like managed by somebody else. So they have a skin in the game, and almost 95% of the companies or 93% of the companies are family owned. So these companies run for 3, 4, 5 generations in the same family, and also their employees are within the same families. These companies typically are in manufacturing, electrical, engineering, automotive. They are family owned, and mostly they are in small towns. So we don't know, we don't hear much about them. And 1,300 of these companies, we'll quickly have a look at it. 20-30 years study done by Professor Dr. Hermann Simon. They are called as hidden champions. Out of 2,700 hidden champions internationally found by Dr. Simon, 48%, almost half of them, come from Germany. And these are they are champions because they're extremely focused in their niche, and they are number 1, 2, or 3 globally. And hidden because they hide, they don't want to be in the public domain a lot. And they are also known, especially if we just quickly go through. Yeah, they are specialized in their own domain. You know, if anybody is in digging, Herrenknecht, they know the company, tunnel boring or windmills, simple industrial products, but they are known only to people who are coming from that domain. Now, what makes this company extremely strong? We can have a separate session on this, but these companies are, from the beginning itself, they are extremely focused. They focus on one niche and they go into deep. Then within that focus, they go very deep and internationalize. and they set themselves extremely ambitious targets of becoming the best quality, best innovation, becoming closer to the customer, going to the with the customer globally to support the customer. These are the targets they set, and that's why they become global companies. I mean, in India, we consider large companies have to globalize, but that is not the case. In Germany, SMEs are also globalized in their own domain. Somebody asked about innovation. Germany spends a lot on innovation. Germany spends about 3% of their GDP goes on innovation. 3% of sales also spent by companies on innovation, but that's again a different topic. In addition to research and development, the companies are specially known for their competitive advantage comes from their proximity to the customer. Compared to large companies, 5 times more employees visit the customers on a regular basis. So it's not only salespeople go to the purchasing department of the customer, but also they look into, I mean, they do a lot of, R&D is very this applied R&D. What customer requires, they look for it, and then they provide that, rather than taking their own product and saying, do you want to buy it? As we saw, they have loyal and highly qualified employees because they get trained. They are continuously skilled, reskilled, and a strong leadership because it's in the family, and they have a lot of money, own money put into this. I won't go into details of this, but as Dr. Telang also mentioned, many of the companies are in industrial domain. There are very few of German SMEs which are world leader, which are in consumer products. It's mostly machinery, tools, chemicals, and such products. They have 40%, they export. Mittlestand companies, 40% of the German SMEs export. So it's in spite of being small, they export heavily. So this was relating to general information about the Mittlestand. Now, what is happening in Mittlestand? Everything is not everything is not hunky-dory, as we say. The challenges which they face is mainly succession because of the demographic development. 3-4 generations, 5 generations, it was good, but now the new generation is not there, or they have no interest. So then they have a similar situation because of demography in skilled employees. Germany is missing a lot of skilled employees in science, technology, engineering, medical professions, IT, brand image, because they say that they don't want to advertise, their product makes their image. Increasing cost of operations. Germany manufacturing industry has still been in forefront in spite of Chinese challenge. Because of their advantage because of their cutting edge technology, quality. But Germany is definitely a high cost country, and it's losing on the high cost of operations. Over reliance on single source supplies. So obviously the name comes to mind is China. India has 1,800 German Mittelstand company. China has almost 6,000. So you see how much reliant these companies are for sourcing. The globalization, they are slow. Localization, they are very skeptical about intellectual property, technology, skills, and they need support. German manufacturing industry is totally dependent on the development of Industry 4.0 and new technologies like data analytics, AI, machine learning, robotics, and all. And there they need support, and that support can come primarily from Indian IT people. These were some of the things which were happening: joint venture technology, cooperations, marketing alliance, vendor service provider. This was happening. This kind of opportunities Indian SMEs had with Germany, and as Dr. Telang mentioned, they have taken benefit of it. But in challenges, there are the opportunities, as we say. So the new opportunities are available. See, succession, we have opportunities. Indian SMEs have opportunities of mergers, alliance, collaboration of any other type, not only mergers or JVs, but any other type of skill shortage is there. So industrial, engineering, IT services, we have a lot of opportunities to cooperate. Manufacturing costs are going high. So Indian manufacturing image has improved during the last year. So supply chains can be built, assemblies can be done in India of low volume products. Again, globalization challenges put opportunities for us and Germany to cooperate on mergers. Localization, language is definitely a challenge, but as I come from Pune, we have Kotrud is called as second largest place with German language training. Intercultural training is required, but all this is available. And if we learn that, because intercultural and language training is a base for that, and with a lot of the localization, we can pull to us. They are lagging in IT, definitely, because of demographic development and also other reasons. So BPOs, KPOs, IT competence centers are one way, but also Industry 4.0 support. They have other industrial softwares like PLM and AutoCAD. So there also we can cooperate quite a lot on with them. This is a typical form of internationalization. You go with exports to agents and own sales organization and go to manufacturing. This is a classical form. You have to have a long-term strategy when you decide about internationalization. And there is, Dr. Telang mentioned, there has been never a better time for Indian SMEs to globalize, to internationalize than that was before, and especially with Germany, because Germany and India has a very good cooperation, very good feeling with each other, and with challenges which they have with China. Now they want to de-link with China, which gives us opportunities, but not only because of that, production linked manufacturing schemes and our lower taxation, ease of doing business is improving. So all this gives opportunities, but there has to be, don't have to be opportunistic. We have to take a long-term strategy. And then easy ways are prepare for trade fairs and visit the trade fairs, but by preparing, have meetings. They are not just for visit. You have local representatives in Germany on ground, and the number is increasing. So they can do a lot of hand-holding. We have our consulate and embassy and MIIM, Make in India Mittlestand from run by Indian Embassy, which is there to help. Or you can have local operations. Eventually, you can go for local operations. Understanding of intercultural aspects is extremely important in negotiations, forming of JVs, running of JVs. It's, from country to country it differs. So we have to understand about that. My time was limited, so I will finish on this. I will be happy to have any other session which could be a bit more in detail. I thank Mr. Sinkar for the opportunity. Stay safe, stay healthy, everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Barve, you can end the presentation. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Barve. This was an excellent presentation, and our members can certainly find value from it. We can share this presentation to our members on our LinkedIn and other platforms, social media platforms, if you agree to it.
Yeah, definitely. Before I go, I mean, I have one more thing to say. Together with GIZ is a famously known German development agency. We are developing a booklet on internationalization of SMEs. So that should be ready sometime early July. And if anybody will be interested, that will cover all areas, but a guideline sort of, So, so if anybody is interested, they can connect with me through you, Mr. Sinkar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Barve. Now we move to our next agenda, and we have another Indian person who's based in Germany today with us. We have Mr. Ajit Ranade, who is a managing director of a company called Desi Germans, a company registered in Germany as well as India. Desi German offers business advisory services to their clients who wish to enter in the German market. Ajit Ranade is a mechanical engineer with 20 plus years of experience in business development in IT, manufacturing and hospitality sector. He has worked in Europe since a decade across 12 European Union countries as a sales specialist with a focus on IT and engineering services. With this brief introduction, I request Mr. Ajit Ranade to share his presentation and his thoughts on go-to-market strategy when entering in a German market. Welcome, Mr. Ranade. You can start with your presentation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sinkar, and thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity at Saraswat Chamber of Commerce. Can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll not spend too much time on that. So Dr. Amit Telang and Mr. Manoj Barve has already given a holistic view of the Indo-German businesses, but and I came to know from Mr. Sinkar and the Saraswat Chamber of Commerce that many of your community members are willing to work with Germany. So these are very, very simple points. Mr. Barve has briefly touched upon this, but it's important to understand this business culture. So it's a very famous proverb in Germany is 5 Minuten vor der Zeit ist das Deutschen Pünktlichkeit. It means being 5 minutes ahead of time is a German sense of punctuality. And indeed, punctuality is a very important and critical aspect in Germany's business culture. So the second is risk taking. Of course, one of the major differences between the Indian and Germans is willingness to take risks. And while taking risk is a fundamental part, or let's say of Indian DNA, but sometimes Germans prefer to feel more secure, and failing is still seen negatively. So this is an important point which we need to understand. Being straightforward, I mean, like one of the points most people, foreigners struggle, which is the Germans' directness, especially when it comes to giving feedback. Germans tend to be very, very outspoken. So this is a very important point. And the last point is that to keep one's word. So keeping a word is a very, very important for Germans, and Germans do give high importance to promises and commitments. This might look very simple, but these are very, very important points. So Mr. Barve has briefly mentioned that there are about 1,800 German companies in India. And since I came to know that many of you are interested to associate with German companies, so I have jotted down these points. So here, if some company, understanding the market is very important. If you want to enter into the German market, or any market rather. So I always say, like, Germany may or may not be, or rather may not be, for the products which are very, very generalized. For example, if somebody is from engineering services offering, let's say, a general CAD CAM conversion, may not be a niche service for Germans, but rather if someone offers, let's say, the kind of weight optimization or cost optimization or localization of certain product. So this is the important service. So market research and whether our product or service is really needed for this market or not is very important. And accordingly, we can plan for the go-to-market strategy, and then prospect identification. And very, very important point is compliances and regulations. Germany is bound by compliances and regulations like many other developed countries. So I just can cite an example of a very famous company based out of India, which is into the food products. So they have five actually plants in India, and they wanted to enter into Germany. But since the milk-based products have a different FDI regulations, which are very, very stringent, they couldn't enter that easily. So understanding these compliances and regulations is important. Then market entry and penetration services. So this is Mr. Sinker and a lot of community members are yourselves are basically the chartered accountants, and you know this. So setting up a company is not a big deal or big job in Germany, but running a company definitely needs a lot of homework before we enter the market. Then third point, I would say connecting with local businesses. So how one can connect with in German businesses. So since there are more than 1,800 German companies, a lot of companies have tried to support their captive center based off India. And once they have some kind of credibility, then it becomes slightly easier to enter in Germany. So this is one of the ways, I would say. A lot of people find, or a lot of companies in India think that if they avail for, or they become a distribution partner for one of the German companies, they will associate with a German company. So a lot of people are, planning for kind of having some kind of joint venture partnership with German companies. Since the leather, the textiles, as Dr. Amit Telang mentioned, the IT and pharma, these are some of the areas, wherein there are a lot of possibilities. Definitely, there could be the possibilities for joint venture partnerships with the German companies. Merger and acquisition is a very specialized area. Mr. Manoj Barve and other team members are very specialized in that. But yes, there is a possibility that by M&A it is possible to enter in Germany, if not that easily, but yes, there is a possibility. And how a company can enter, either a company from India can have their branch office here, or they can have a UG, or it's called a UG, Unternehmergesellschaft, or GmbH, which is nothing but in our terminology, private limited company. Some companies also try for a local representative office based out of Germany initially. Some people have just a virtual office. Okay, so someone virtually representing, and probably some people can have a license office in Germany. License offices has some limitations, but definitely these are the different ways how one can start like associating with Germany. And as I said, like Germany may not be for very, very generalized services. For example, someone said about the machine components. So if it's the machine components, we really need to understand whether we manufacture some kind of precision high-tech components with some kind of tight tolerances. So this is very important. So in IT also, maybe normal IT or normal IT testing, manual or automation. Rather than that, if it is a full stack developers are the people who have a great demand in Germany. So, I mean, these are some of the areas whenever like Mr. Sinkar, we have the next sessions, we can definitely talk more on this. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about at the Saraswat Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ranade. That was good input from your side on connecting with German market.
घड़ी पे भी लिया हुआ है इसमें। हाँ, घड़ी पे लिया है, मैं कपड़े वपड़े पे भी लिया हुआ है। नहीं ले सकते, कपड़ों पे नहीं ले सकते। मैं थोड़ी कपड़े का बिजनेस कर रहा हूँ, पर्सनल है ना कपड़ा तो।
Hello, Mr. Ranade, can you end your presentation?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ranade. And now I request participants, if they have any questions, they can just raise the hand, and then we can have a direct interaction with Dr. Amit Telang or Mr. Manoj Barve or Mr. Ajit Ranade. If you have any specific questions to Dr. Telang or Mr. Barve, you can always mention that your question is for, just a minute. So now we have just a minute. Somebody has raised a hand. Just a minute. Mr. Raja Narayanan. Sandeep, can you unmute Mr. Raja? Yeah, Mr. Raja, you can speak now.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, this presentation is very useful to promote bilateral commercial across all multidimensional relations, whether it is trade, investment, and the technology collaboration, etc. And one thing that we are interested to know is what is the scope for partnership in vocational training, skill development between India and Germany.
You want anybody specific to answer?
No, it can be answered by anybody.
Dr. Telang, shall I go?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Vocational training is extremely important in Germany. Almost 52% of their young school graduates do training rather than going for higher education. And in India, we have started developing that system. Our ITIs and all are a bit insufficient for that, because for having good trainers, you need people with pedagogic background and also experts in their domain. So Don Bosco in Pune has certain facilities. German Indian tool room in Aurangabad and Ahmedabad has certain facilities. The private companies like Bosch, Siemens, all of them have made their own schools here. I mean, Bosch has overtaken some 50 odd ITIs. So these companies are training their own people here, but there are certain private schools also who are focused on vocational training or skill development in India. They are cooperating with certain German associations and all. We can discuss that later in detail, Mr. Narayanan.
Thank you very much. Actually, it is indeed a very useful presentation.
So we have a question from Ms. Kalpana Shenoy on a chat box, where she is asking that she is from Creative Strokes and what are the current strategies of German brands like Hugo, Buffalo, Escada to work with Indian market. Are there any incentives from India to work with German market? Indian government has reduced duty drawback, and so other schemes. Are there any buying agencies who can help us? This is what is the question from Kalpana Shenoy.
So basically, I would like to mention that, yes, of course, this has always been an attractive area. Lately, we have seen, of course, that there are other markets or other countries which are originating or which are basically appearing as more competitive destinations when it comes to garment, apparel, and textiles. Government of India does offer incentives, and for details regarding this, in fact, there is a dedicated desk which is called the Invest India Germany, focusing specifically on providing information about the kind of incentives that are being offered for all companies, specifically on the certain sectors which have been identified as the priority sectors. The sector related to garments and apparel also constitutes one of them. So for that, we will be very happy to provide you or put you in touch with our colleagues from Invest India Germany, and they will be in a position to provide you very detailed information on this. So I've noted your question, and in fact, I'll pass it on to them to respond to you with more details and accuracy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, another question is from Mr. Dikshit, and he's asking, how do you look at the opportunities in Ayurveda or natural and herbal products in Germany?
Yeah, again, a very, very attractive sector, and a lot is happening, in fact, in this sector, not only in terms of Ayurveda, but applying modern medical technology and research to Ayurveda. So in fact, just to share with you, there are organizations which are working on application of Ayurvedic medical or therapeutics and linking it with genomics. So very specific to, identifying, firstly doing genetic mapping of different individuals, and based on that genetic mapping, then Ayurvedic medication and therapeutics, this kind of research is also happening. And I'm fortunate, I'm very proud to mention that, in fact, the Government of India, especially Ayurveda Ministry, which deals with this issue, has close cooperation with many German institutions. One of them is the Frankfurt Innovation Center, or Frankfurter Innovationszentrum. So they are specifically focusing on this area, and they have established a unit or a representative office in Pune, which is engaging with Ayurvedic practitioners, experts, to do further research and also promote in terms of popularization of Ayurveda and other traditional Indian medical systems in Germany. And every day I see that the interest, in fact, in Ayurveda, in yoga, in the wellness therapies is increasing in Germany. And I would say that there's a lot of scope to further expand it. Thank you.
We have Mr. Avdut Rege. Avdut, you can unmute and you can ask the question.
Thank you, Siddha. Thank you. I would like to ask the question, sir, how can we get connect to the cultural, and the corporate sector of the Germany and some Indian chambers which are working in Germany? So how can we get connect with them?
Two of the major Indian chambers or trade bodies or business bodies which are active in Germany. Firstly, the CII, or the Confederation of Indian Industry, has a dedicated presence in Frankfurt. We'll be happy to share details with you. I have provided my email ID in the chat box. So please do write to me and we will be very happy. So CII has a presence, WICCI has a presence in Germany. Other than that, other major trade bodies and industrial bodies also are represented through their local representatives or as virtual representatives, as Ajit ji mentioned. So in terms of the representation in Germany, probably I would say almost every major Chamber of Commerce and trade body, investment promotion body has a presence in Germany. And over and above that, if you have any specific query, we in the consulate, as well as our consulates in Munich, Hamburg, and the embassy in Berlin, will be very happy to provide you whatever information you are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
There is a question I think Ajit ji can answer. How is the opportunity for Indian MSMEs on cloud analytics and Internet of Things business? Can Ajit ji?
Yeah. So very important question, and thank you for asking this question, because probably many people may not know, but Germany is still lagging or is behind, the curve when it comes to the digital part. So US, Taiwan, Korea, Japan are way ahead of Germany when it comes to the digital things. So in cloud, the data analytics part of it, definitely there is a lot of scope. And as Amit ji mentioned in this initial talks, that the top IT companies are literally making wonders by bagging very big contracts from the German conglomerates. But this is just for the big companies. But as Manoj ji mentioned, there are more than 3.5 lakh, 3.5 million Mittlestand companies in Germany. So they are still untapped when it comes to whether it is a cloud analytics or digital part. So those who are interested, they can just have a look at the website called as digitaleurope.org. So digitaleurope.org, you will see all the kind of investment that not only Germany but European Union is making in this area. So there is a lot of scope, especially working with the small and Mittelstand companies in Germany. Because already our big IT companies, Indian IT companies, and some of the big other companies like Accenture and Atos and Capgemini of the world, which are not Indian origin companies, they are majorly busy with only the conglomerates, and they are rather falling short of bandwidth. Such kind of opportunities exist currently.
Thank you. I have a question for Dr. Amit Telang. As you were mentioning in your speech that the Consulate General has handholding services for the people who want to set up. Can you just share some light on that? What kind of handholding at a consulate level service we offer to the Indians who are coming in? Basically, entrepreneurs. I'm not asking for it from the students' point of view at present, from the entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So basically, we have a dedicated office of the commercial representative in the consulate. In fact, and this office is very closely linked to different trade bodies in India, as well as the Ministry of Commerce and Industry of India. So, and we do get a lot of trade inquiries from potential investors, both from Germany, also from India, wanting to know about the scope of different sectors, how to go about it. And as I have mentioned, that we have dedicated bodies like the Invest India Germany, which is basically focusing on Germany alone out of all the countries, just because of the amount of interest that people have in terms of a possibility of investing in India, and of course, people the other way around also, Indian business people wanting to invest in Germany. We have very close contacts with various trade promotion agencies in Germany, be it in Frankfurt, be it in the state of Nadra and Westphalia, which is the biggest state in terms of population and also in terms of the industrial expertise. And in fact, it accounts for more than 30% of bilateral trade between India and Germany. So, in fact, that's our full-time work of the commercial wing of the Consulate General of India. And as I said, we will be very happy. Just send us a mail, drop a mail, and you will get answers, contacts, and if possible, also some advice. Or definitely we'll be able to direct you to a suitable person who can address your query.
That was great, sir. Thank you for this. Are there any specific questions? I think Mr. Pushkar Kamath, he has raised his hand. Pushkar, can you unmute yourself and ask questions?
Good evening, sir. This is Pushkar Kamath. I am into LED lighting and I have done many business houses and industries in and around Pune lighting projects. So is there any process that many manufacturing facilities might be coming to India? So is there any direction for the German people or the companies over there in Germany? So whether you will get these agencies or any authorized agencies or any something somewhat in that line, is there any chance of that? Is any directory or something like that is there?
Certainly, in fact, what I would request you is if you could provide us through email a short profile of your company or your establishment and what exactly the kind of partners or the kind of information that you're looking for, and we'll respond to you definitely and provide the requisite information.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
I think it is 6 p.m. And we have had many questions. So I would request participants, if they have any further questions, Dr. Amit Telang, he has already shared his email ID on the chat box, and he has openly mentioned on the platform that he would whatever help can be offered at a consulate level can be offered to our entrepreneurs. So now on behalf of our Saraswat Chamber, I thank you, Dr. Amit Telang sir. I thank you, Mr. Manoj Barve sir, and I thank Mr. Ajit Ranade for an excellent presentation. We had many takeaways from today's meeting, that we have handholding services even at a consulate level. Dr. Amit Telang mentioned. Then there is no hindrance of language, which is an assurance for people, because we are always afraid that tomorrow, because we always know that Germans prefer to speak only in their language, and this is assurance for Indian entrepreneurs, young budding entrepreneurs, to go there and explore without having language difficulties. Then Mr. Barve was extremely good with his presentation on why German they are champions. He explained many things, and he also mentioned that they have this succession issues. So it's an opportunity for the Indian entrepreneurs, SMEs, because I have, as a chartered accountant, I have seen many entrepreneurs now going abroad and going for business acquisitions. And here there are many German MSMEs, that is, they call it as Mittlestand. Only thing is, one need to have a close look, one need to go there or consult people like Mr. Barve or whosoever you are comfortable with, take their help, and then one can explore how to do these kind of transactions. Then Mr. Ajit Ranade, he was extremely good when he explained this go-to-market strategy. He is an IT expert. He's worked with 12 European Union countries and worked as a sales in charge on various companies. So all this expertise we got benefited today. So I thank all three of you again, and I thank Saraswat Cooperative Bank, who are the main sponsors of Saraswat Chamber. And again, I thank all the participants who have come today and who have participated actively. So thank you very much, and we can close today for now. Thank you, Dr. Telang, and thank you, Sir and Ranades. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shankarji.